Let's be honest. When you hear the term security audit, it can sound a little intimidating, right? Like you're about to get called into the principal's office. But what if it's actually more like a checkup to keep your company healthy? Well, today we're going to crack the code on this whole process and show you why it's probably the best defense you've got.
Okay, so imagine your organization's data is like treasure, and it's all locked away inside this huge digital fortress. Here's the thing, though. Every fortress has cracks. The real question isn't if they exist, it's how do you find them before someone else does. That's the challenge we're going to tackle.
So before we can even talk about the solution, we've got to understand the problem. Every single network, I don't care how well it's designed, has potential weak spots. Think of these as clues at a potential digital crime scene. These are the vulnerabilities that an attacker is just waiting to exploit.
Now, auditors, they're trained to think like the bad guys, and they're usually looking for three main kinds of vulnerabilities. First, interception. Can someone spy on your data while it's moving from point A to point B? Then they test availability. Could a hacker just shut you down completely, maybe with a denial of service attack? And of course, they probe for access. Are there any digital doors or windows just left unlocked? It's really about covering all the angles of a potential break-in.
Okay, so you've got all these potential weak spots. How in the world do you find them and fix them in a systematic way? Well, you call in the investigators. And that brings us to the formal process designed to do exactly that, the security audit.
All right, here's the official textbook definition. But the two words you really need to focus on are independent review. This is not just a teammate doing a quick check. No, this is a methodical, evidence-based deep dive into everything, system logs, security policies, you name it, all to see if what a company claims it's doing for security is what's actually happening.
A simpler way to think about it? An audit is basically a really thorough health checkup for your company's digital life. Or if we stick with our crime scene metaphor, it's like a detective meticulously sweeping the area for fingerprints, interviewing witnesses, and examining all the evidence. But they're doing it to stop a crime from ever happening in the first place.
So how does this whole investigation actually work? I mean, auditors don't just show up and start poking around randomly. They follow a very structured playbook to make sure nothing, and I mean nothing, gets missed. Let's break down the key phases of that playbook.
You can really boil the whole process down to three main phases. First up is the plan. This is where auditors scope out the crime scene and figure out exactly what they're looking for. Next, you got the fieldwork, and this is the real investigation. They're gathering evidence, interviewing staff, watching how things are done, and actually testing the digital locks and alarms. And finally, there's the report. This is where all the findings get put together into a case file for the company's leadership.
So while they're out there doing their fieldwork, auditors are laser-focused on two major areas. First is physical security. We're talking about the real world here. Are the server rooms actually locked? Are there security guards? Then you have logical security, which is everything digital. This slide shows the difference perfectly. Think passwords and firewalls versus bodyguards and locked doors. You absolutely need both to be secure.
Now this all sounds pretty specialized, right? Because it is. So who exactly are these digital detectives? Who's qualified to carry out such an important investigation?
Well, auditors basically come in three main flavors. You got your internal teams, who are employers that give a continuous, inside-out view of things. But for that true, unbiased opinion, say to keep investors or clients happy, companies hire external auditors. These are third-party experts who have no skin in the game. And finally, you have the regulators. These are government agents, and they aren't optional. They show up to make sure you're complying with specific laws, especially in sensitive fields like finance or healthcare.
So what makes these folks experts? Well, it's this really unique mix of skills across technology, business, and security. And because the stakes are just so high, professional certifications are everything in this field. So if you see acronyms like CISA or CISM next to someone's name, that's the industry's seal of approval. It means this person is a legit expert.
Okay, so after all the planning and all the fieldwork, the investigation finally wraps up. The auditors have gathered all their evidence, they've analyzed their findings, and now it's time to deliver the final report. The complete case file on the organization's security health.
But hold on, before we crack open that report, it is absolutely vital to understand this one key idea. An audit is not a magic shield that guarantees you're secure forever. A better way to think of it is like a photograph. It's a perfect snapshot in time. The limited assurance it gives is a picture of your security on the day the audit was finished, not necessarily a week or a month later when new threats have popped up. So,
The final report is really an action plan. It breaks down what they investigated, what they found, and most importantly, it ranks all the vulnerabilities by how serious they are. A high-risk item basically means drop everything you are doing and fix this now. This gives management a super clear, prioritized to-do list for beefing up their defenses.
You know, when you strip away all the jargon, all the process, the entire purpose of an information security audit really comes down to this one single goal: to protect an organization's most important digital stuff from the people who want to steal or break it. Simple as that.
And that leaves us with one final thought. An audit is an incredibly powerful tool for understanding right now. It gives you a detailed map of your fortress and all its weak spots today. But in the world of cyber threats, a world that is constantly changing, the real question is, what's your plan for tomorrow?